If you want to learn about every Daredevil Cancelled project, be sure to watch the video. Well, hi there, Spider-Dash here. Daredevil is one of the most underrated Marvel heroes, and yet one of the greatest. At least for me, he's almost on par with Spider-Man. So, that's why today, I wanted to talk about every Daredevil project that has been cancelled, and what it could have been. So be sure to stay until the end to know everything about these projects. But before starting the video, the first project that I want to talk about is Daredevil's Cancelled game, because that is the only game that was cancelled, and sadly we don't have an actual Daredevil game. And honestly, it looks amazing. The game was being developed by Sony and 5000 Feet. It was set to be released somewhere in 2003, sometime after the movie, but while it was still relevant. The plot of the game was loosely based on the comic Elektra Lives, where after Elektra is killed by Bullseye, Daredevil suspects that she is still alive, and he looks for clues of her whereabouts. Also, Kingpin would have played a big role. He would have apparently been dead, but everything was an act to get criminals to start a power vacuum, and he was going to take control over the city once most of the criminal world was dead. The game will have counted with a swinging system similar to the Spider-Man games, but this mechanic was a response to the Spider-Man games of those times, where his webs attached to the sky. In this game, Daredevil's baton would have attached itself to the buildings, and Daredevil was able to slide through some areas of the game just like Sonic. Also, the game counted with something called the Shadow Vision, that it was like the detective vision in the Batman Arkham games, where you're able to see through walls and other characters at a considerable distance. And finally, some other Marvel heroes like Black Widow will have appeared. The reasons why it was cancelled are kinda sad. The developers wanted to use the same engine as the GTA games, but 5000 Feet didn't want to pay for the rights to use that engine, so they improvised their own. And it was good at first, but then some problems started to arise, and finally Marvel cancelled the game because of creative conflicts between them and Sony. The Daredevil movie from 2003 was set to have a sequel. It was going to be based on the comic Daredevil Born Again. We would have seen the return of Elektra and Bullseye as well. And Kingpin was going to be shredded after spending a lot of time in jail. Everything was set to be filmed, but the movie was cancelled for two reasons. One is that Ben Affleck hated the Daredevil suit, because it was full leather and it felt really uncomfortable. So he asked the studio 20th Century Fox to change it, but it was denied by none other than A.B. Rat. Yeah, the same guy that has been screwing the Spider-Man movies also was screwing movies from Fox long time before. So Ben Affleck refused to play Daredevil. And finally, the last nail in the coffin was the poor reception of the movie Elektra. I mean, I think that it was for the best that this movie was cancelled. In the 80s, after the success of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, Marvel planned another show based on Daredevil. The series was about Matt Murdock and his seeing eye dog, Lightning the Super Dog. This dog doesn't exist in the comics and it was exclusive for this show. However, Daredevil did have a seeing dog in the comics. The idea of this show was pitched by the television writer Mark Evanier to the ABC. They didn't like the idea from the beginning, but for some reason they announced the show on several newspapers with the pictures that I'm showing you right now. But not too long after that, the show was cancelled because of a discussion in a meeting. It is said that the matter was not that big of a deal, and the ABC just wanted a reason to cancel the show, because they thought that Daredevil was a violent character that kids shouldn't watch. Ironically, years later, the ABC produced the Netflix Daredevil show that we know, after it was bought by Disney. We will have had a Daredevil animated show in the same universe as the animated series of Spider-Man, the X-Men, and Hulk. Marvel already had this planned because Daredevil was introduced in the Spider-Man show, so they wouldn't need to introduce the character again. because a lot of people was already familiarized with the character. Fox started to work on the new show for Daredevil, and we have a lot of pictures showing what it could have been. But the production of this cartoon was stopped because Fox was making the movie that we all know and hate, so they had to wait to be able to work on the cartoon again, with the excuse that this might confuse the people that was going to watch the movies if something happens different than in the show. This definitely sounds familiar. I hate when Marvel does that sort of stuff. And sadly, this show was cancelled because of the poor reception of the movie. Daredevil was supposed to have his own TV show in the early 90s. Daredevil was introduced in the Incredible Hulk TV show starred by Lou Ferrigno and Bill Bixby, in the TV special The Trial of the Incredible Hulk, where Matt Murdock himself is the lawyer of Bruce Banner. In that TV special, the Kingpin manages to escape without telling us of his whereabouts. This is because this question was going to be answered in the TV show of Daredevil. This was because this wasn't just a TV special for Hulk. This was an undercover pilot for a Daredevil TV show. Rex Smith plays Daredevil in the TV special, and he will have reprised his role in the Daredevil show. John Rhys Davies will have reprised his role as the Kingpin, and Mark Archson was going to play Turk Barrett, character from the comics that also appears in the Netflix show. Everything was set so this show could happen, but it was cancelled. The reason is kinda rude, to say the least. This show was being made by the NBC, the same guys behind the Incredible Hulk show, obviously, but the CBS was developing a show about the Flash, and in a weird case of paranoia, the CBS bought the Daredevil rights, so that the Daredevil show won't get made, and the Flash will not have competition. Ironically, the Flash show was a failure. A funny case of karma if I ever seen one. But if you want to know something curious, the black suits that Daredevil used later in the comics and in the Netflix show first appear here, in the Incredible Hulk TV special. So, in a weird way, this unmade TV show has a little legacy. In 1973, Angela Bowie, wife of the legendary David Bowie, auditioned to play Wonder Woman in the very first movie of the character, although she never stood a chance, and this was all planned by David Bowie to get his wife talking about his career. This made Angela Bowie all the more obsessed in wanting to be known for her own merits, and not only for being David Bowie's wife. In 1975, we will have had the first apparition of Daredevil in any media, starred by Black Widow, played by Angela Bowie. She bought the rights of the characters of Daredevil and Black Widow, and Stan Lee himself granted her the rights for a period of 1 year. She recruited the actor Ben Carruthers to play Matt Murdock. I think that it is worth mentioning that Black Widow and Daredevil were already a couple in those times. That's why Daredevil and Black Widow started the show. She pitched the idea to different studios, but no one was willing to produce the show. The most common reason was that the special effects would have been really expensive. We were supposed to have the very first Daredevil movie in the 90s, with a script written mostly by Chris Columbus, who you might know because he directed the first 2 Harry Potter movies. It was going to be directed by Carlo Carley, and J.M. DeMatteis, that wrote comics like Kraven Last Hunt, helped with the script. The script was so good that even Stan Lee was surprised. It was loosely based on the comic Born Again, with a lot of religious elements, and characters like the Kingpin, Bullseye, and Elektra were going to appear. But for some reason, 20th Century Fox was not convinced and never gave a green light to the project. Ironic, because they produced this thing years later. Don't tell anyone, but if you dig good enough, you can find the script of the movie on the internet. In 2014, Fox was rushing and doing everything in their power to not lose the Daredevil rights, because they just had a few months until the rights came back to Marvel. So they reached Joe Carnahan to direct the Daredevil film. His ideas were peculiar, to say the least. He wanted the movie to be set in 1975, inspired in movies like Serpico, where the violence is depicted really crude. And he not only wanted one movie, he wanted a whole trilogy. Fox didn't agree with many of his ideas, so the talks extended so much that the rights eventually returned to Marvel, and we ended up with the show that we know these days. Maybe this is the one that hurts the most, because we all know about this one, and trust me, I cried when it was cancelled. The 4th season of the Daredevil show was cancelled because Netflix's license deal for the series ended, and Disney did not want to renew the deal because all of the Marvel content was set to be released on Disney+. There is a little bit of hope, because we have a new Daredevil show coming to Disney+, starred by the same actors, but I'm kinda skeptical about this one. Most, if not all Marvel content on Disney Plus goes from meh to mediocre. The only good things that was released there, at least in my opinion, and is not even from Marvel, is The Mandalorian, and maybe Star Wars The Bad Batch. But out of that, I don't like the Disney Plus content, but if you do like it, that's okay, this is just my opinion. Let's keep our fingers crossed and hope that the Daredevil coming to Disney Plus lives up to the Netflix version. Although what we could have seen if Netflix Daredevil was not cancelled. Charlie Cox said a bit about it, although not revealing much. The only thing that he said is that we will have seen the agent Poindexter finally become Bullseye, and his conflict with Daredevil. Maybe we could have seen Karen Page's death like in the comics, and the return of Elektra. But this last bit is just a speculation. Sadly, no Marvel show will live up to the part that Daredevil set. A shout to the Emerald, Dave R, Andrew Rojas, Cashman Jedi, Harold Delema, Rick Lopez, Metal Spider 86, Everything Super, Cooper Plays, and Artin Skandari. If you wanna shout out in my next video, give me a like, be sure to click the subscribe button, and leave in the comments which one of these projects would you have liked to see the most. Thank you so much for watching, and bye bye!